How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula, and welcome to another Pokemon Go deep dive video. Today we're going to explore the two forms of the legendary Pokemon Giratina, and try to determine which one is worth your Stardust and Rare Candies. Both of these forms are really powerful in their own right, but one certainly stands out over the other. I'm going to be explaining which one and why in this video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. Okay, let's jump into it. When it comes to the discussion of which Giratina form is better than the other, typically there is a clear consensus. In case you didn't know, Giratina has two different forms in Pokemon Go. Just like most other Pokemon with multiple forms, they are treated as two separate Pokemon with their own stats and moves. However, Altered Form Giratina and Origin Form Giratina are nearly identical, with the typing and stamina stats being the same. Yet, there are two distinct characteristics that separate them, and these distinctions make all the difference in just how useful each of them are. Over the years, there hasn't been much debate on which form is better than the other, as one of them, Giratina Origin Form, is really good for both PvP and PvE, whereas the other, Giratina Altered Form, is not as widely useful and is considered pretty niche. I'll be going over both of these forms individually, and give you my thoughts on whether or not the community is correct in their assessment that one is better than the other. I actually don't think it's as clear-cut as they make it out to be. First, let's talk about Altered Form Giratina. This iteration of Giratina is a lot more common than the other. This is because Niantic has brought back this Pokemon into raids more often than its other form, probably because it is considered less powerful. This Pokemon is a Ghost and Dragon type, making it weak against Dark, Dragon, Fairy, Ghost, and Ice type attacks. It double resists Fighting type and Normal type attacks, and has a regular resistance to Bug, Electric, Fire, Grass, Poison, and Water type attacks. While it has a plethora of different resistances, you don't necessarily have to worry too much with its several weaknesses. This is because Altered Form Giratina is pretty bulky, even compared to its Origin Form counterpart. This Pokemon has a base attack stat of 187, a base defense stat of 225, and a base stamina stat of 284. While it has a lower attack stat compared to other legendaries of the same typing, its defense and stamina stats are definitely on the higher end. Thus, this Pokemon is more built for PvP rather than PvE. In terms of Giratina's moves, it can come with Shadow Claw and Dragon Breath as its fast attacks, and Dragon Claw, Ancient Power, Shadow Force, and Shadow Sneak as its charge attacks. In terms of its ideal moveset, you should run Shadow Claw, Shadow Force, and Dragon Claw. These will deal the most DPS in both raids and PvP, but especially in PvP. This moveset can be a menace. So next, let's talk about the other form of Giratina, which is its Origin Form. Between the two, this one is considered the stronger one, as it is top tier for raid battles as well as multiple leagues within the Go Battle League. While it may not be viable for the Great League, it is actually amongst the very top within the Master League, and it does rank fairly high in the Ultra League. Unlike Giratina Altered Form, you may find yourself using Origin Form more often in a variety of different game modes. So let's go over the details of this Pokemon. Giratina Origin Form is actually very identical to Altered Form, so it will have the same weaknesses and resistances. However, it has the key distinction of having the defense stat and attack stat flipped. It comes with a base attack stat of 225, a defense stat of 187, and a stamina stat of 284. Both Giratinas have a really good base stamina, but you can see that Origin Form loses a lot of that bulk in exchange for a lot more offensive firepower. This is actually what makes Giratina Origin Form considered much more superior. While a defense stat of 187 is not all too high, it is still high enough to give Giratina Origin Form enough TDO to survive longer in battle. It's not as much of a glass cannon like Gengar, but it can still hold its own in terms of damage output. In terms of its moves, it comes with much better options compared to Altered Form Giratina. It can have either of the fast attacks Shadow Claw or Dragon Tail, and the charge attacks Shadow Ball, Shadow Force, Dragon Pulse, and Ominous Wind. It goes without question that if you're looking for a solid Ghost type raid attacker, then Giratina Origin Form is going to be your best bet. On top of a high total damage output, it has insanely high damage per second with the move combination of Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. You could also go the Dragon route by using Dragon Tail and Dragon Pulse. However, I would suggest going purely Ghost type with this Pokemon. It deals incredible amounts of damage in a raid, while also being extremely difficult to deal with within the Master League. Not a whole lot of Pokemon will be able to directly counter Origin Form Giratina, as the Master League doesn't have many Pokemon that have the necessary typing and stats. Even direct counters like Xerneas or Zacian will struggle, as their fast attacks and stats don't keep up with Origin Form Giratina's offensive potential. Overall, I think it makes perfect sense why players would prioritize Origin Form Giratina over Altered Form. It just seems so much better on paper in a wide variety of different aspects of Pokémon Go. However, I wouldn't fully discount Altered Form Giratina. I mentioned earlier that Altered Form Giratina is considered pretty niche. Well, the reason for that is because this Pokemon has stats, types, and attacks that are extremely well built for the Ultra League and possibly the Master League. Its attack stat is unfortunately too low for raids, and its stats are too high to be viable for the Great League, but when it comes to the Ultra League, it is by far one of the best. As much as I agree that Origin Form Giratina is more deserving of your raid passes, I would still try to pick up quite a few Altered Form Giratina, especially if you are serious about the Go Battle League. Even if you're not, you can use your Altered Form Giratinas as a trade chip, since battlers will always ask for it when they chase after those PvP IVs. So yeah, overall, both of these Pokemon are phenomenal in their own right. Altered Form Giratina is a must-have for the Ultra League, while Origin Form Giratina is top tier for the Master League and raids. No matter what, you should collect either of these whenever they are in raids. You won't regret having a good one of each, even if you end up using one over the other more often. And with that said, that's going to be it for this deep dive video. Now, I would love to know, which Giratina form are you using the most? Which one is your favorite? Tell me why down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And if you ended up enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list, so if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.